when Pharaoh increased the oppression of the Israelites. After Moses spoke to Pharaoh, Pharaoh not only refused to listen to Moses, but instead intensified his oppression of the Israelites. The Israelites became very distressed. But what was Moses thinking at this moment? At this time, God said to Moses, "You shall bring the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions. Go in and speak to Pharaoh, and tell him to let the Israelites leave his land." At this moment, Moses had just gone to see Pharaoh. But Pharaoh not only refused to listen to the Lord. Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord? I do not know the Lord, and I will certainly not let the Israelites go." Pharaoh said this, and also intensified the enslavement of the Israelites, beating them even more severely. At this moment, as their leader, Moses, might he have become discouraged, or would he instead greatly encourage the people? Moses was just then feeling somewhat sorrowful and a bit disheartened. He said such an unbelieving thing. He replied to God, "Even the Israelites have not listened to me, so how could Pharaoh possibly listen to me? For I am slow of speech and tongue." At this moment, Moses had also lost some confidence. Also said disheartenedly, "If even the Israelites won't listen to me, how much less will Pharaoh listen to me?" Pharaoh absolutely would not listen to Moses. But Pharaoh would listen to God, right? Pharaoh wouldn't listen to Moses. But Moses, relying on his own reasoning, thought of course Pharaoh won't listen. Yet God was with Moses. Moses may have forgotten that his words were God's words. His words. Moses saw himself merely as Moses, and failed to realize that his words represented God, and were equivalent to God speaking. He had forgotten this point. At this moment, the text also records the names of the leaders of the Israelites. Later, in chapter 7, the Lord continued speaking to Moses again, saying, "I will make you like God to Pharaoh." At this moment, God reaffirmed it. "Just now, you represented Moses. It seems you mentioned the name of Yahweh, but you have not yet represented Jehovah. Now I say, I will make you like God to Pharaoh. Your brother Aaron shall be your prophet and speak for you. Everything I command you, you shall tell your brother Aaron. And Aaron shall speak to Pharaoh all that I command, so that he will let the Israelites leave Egypt." Thus, when Pharaoh saw Moses, it was as if he saw God himself, as though receiving a command from the true God. If Pharaoh does not listen, one plague after another will come. At this moment, let us look at the rebellious Pharaoh. Would he finally listen? The rebellious Pharaoh would then no longer dare to. At that time, he dared not disturb him anymore. I dare not disturb the spiritual Israelites anymore. Because at this time, when Moses declared himself as our Father and demonstrated the power of our Father, he would depart, and Pharaoh would let them go. When the Father sent plague after plague upon Pharaoh, would Pharaoh still say, "I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go"? No, he would not. At this point, Pharaoh must have the authority to attack him. Before he would bow his head, as if saying, "Pharaoh, please let us leave Egypt. I'm begging you. I'm kneeling before you." Will this make the mighty Pharaoh obey? As for this mighty Pharaoh, he must be severely punished. "If you still refuse to let them go, I will kill your firstborn son." At that time, he came pleading for mercy that very night. Next, God said this, "I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so that my signs and wonders may multiply in the land of Egypt. Pharaoh will not listen to you. Therefore, I will stretch out my hand against Egypt with severe punishment, and bring my army, the Israelites, out of Egypt. When I stretch out my hand against Egypt, and bring the Israelites out from among them, the Israelites will know that I am the Lord." At that time, when they went to speak to Pharaoh, Moses was 80 years old, and his brother Aaron was 83 years old. God said he would harden Pharaoh's heart, and also cause Pharaoh not to listen to Moses. A massive attack on Egypt. At that time, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. But earlier, when Moses went to see Pharaoh, Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord? I don't know him." Then, when the Father struck Egypt severely, Did he finally recognize that our Father is the Lord? At that time, he did recognize him. Glory be to the Father and the Lord. Amen.